You're gonna have
Yeah.
a lot of sleepless.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but our great IT team has helped us. Was again.
Yes,
for
thank you.
Help on that. As many of you are aware, I've seen some repeat guests. This is Copilot Week. And the topic for this session is all about agents. So agents are the things that everybody's heard about in the news about how they have, superpowers and the capacity to do really impressive things. And our team here is going to turn that fantasy into reality for you. Bring that down to what is actually in the realm of possible. So once again, I'm David. I'm Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer. This is part of a series, and we do have a whole collection of training materials available on our website. So looking forward to seeing more of you at other sessions that we are hosting and providing further training on the website and throughout the academic year. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things off to Microsoft, to Dina and Amy. And they're going to share a bit about agents. And I guess Anna's going to help with some administrative stuff too.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Wayne. So to begin, thank you for coming, everybody. We'll please have you sign in and scroll into the QR code if you don't mind. That way we track the attendance. That would be greatly appreciated. And then Ardina and Amy will be taking over.
Thank you, Anna.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Anna.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the session. For those who can't see us here in the room, my name is Ardina, and I am part of your Microsoft team. I'm also a Harvard School of Business alum from 2017, and I'm here with my colleague Amy.
Hey everybody, I'm Amy Bandy Taylor. I've been with Microsoft for 3 years now, and I work closely with Ardina, and we're going to demo you agents and how to build them.
So while Amy's loading up the slides, we wanted to give you a layout of what you're going to learn today. So Copilot Week is all about giving you the fundamental skills to build and maximize on having M365 Copilot. And so we're just going to show, I think, 4 slides. So don't worry, it's late in the day. We know that there's lots that's happened today, but we thought we'd start with these 4 slides to do a couple of things. One, anchor in a reminder of what M365 Copilot is, give you some definitions on what is an agent, and then talk about the different agents that come with this new amazing license that you have. Does that sound good? We hope to keep it interactive. So remember, you can ask questions in the chat. And I think our great team from Alethea will let us know if we have questions there that could be answered. Oh, look, and for those of you who are online, you can see us. And then in the room, please feel free to raise your hand. And we want to make sure that you all leave empowered to be agent champions. Sounds good? And then we'll just go to.
I was afraid that.
Okay, so as a reminder, University of Miami has made a great investment to provide all faculty and graduate students access to M365 Copilot. What is Copilot? It is Microsoft's brand name for all things AI. We have Copilot embedded in all of our different products, and we've embedded Copilot within Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 are all of the productivity apps that you have hopefully grown to know and love over the years, right? So Outlook, PowerPoint, Word, Teams, and every company, technology company has an AI philosophy. Our philosophy here at Microsoft rests on a couple of things. One, that AI should be personalized, meaning that when you're using Copilot with your M365 apps, you as the user are in the center, and Copilot works as a personal assistant, meaning you only have access. No 2 Copilot experiences are the same, because your Copilot, when you go online and you register for the license, 48 hours passes, and what happens? You get access. It's as if you got a personal intern that shows up at your desk to say, I'm here and I only know what you do at the university. And I've been able to scan your emails, files that have been shared with you, things that are your intellectual property for the work that you do at the university. And Copilot as your personal assistant can help you surface insights, analyze things more quickly. When you get the license, there's 19 different Copilot buttons that show up across the different apps where you could start to have a conversation with Copilot. Summarize this document for me. I'm having a meeting with Mario next week. Give me the sentiment and the tone of all of our emails over the last 2 months and give an agenda with some action items. Help me create a recommendation letter for this person. Help me develop pivot tables in this Excel file. What are some of the data insights in this file? With the M365 Copilot buttons that live in all of these applications, you need to have a conversation with Copilot about your goal, your expectations, and the core outcomes that you want. So this is the fundamental thing that comes with when you get an M365 Copilot license. The reason we're doing this week is because you may have seen before you even apply for the license, there's a Copilot button that lives in different places. That's just the web version of Copilot, right? That's just the version that gives you web data. When you register for the license, you get this super powered version of Copilot that interacts securely with your work data. And that's another core part of our AI philosophy, that AI is not only personalized, but it's also secure. I wanted to ground here. I know some of you already attended some of the other sessions, but another part of our philosophy is we believe that AI for users shouldn't just stop here. This is where it begins. You can have a conversation with Word, OneNote, Excel about documents. But another part of our philosophy is, well, what if somebody wanted an AI assistant that was trained in a very specific task? And it wasn't always a back and forth conversation where you always have to tell Copilot, do this, do that. But the assistant almost takes on a persona or a point of view. And that's where we get into the concept of an agent. Now, many people ask us, is an agent the same thing as a bot? And I think that David put very well this morning that all bots are agents, but not all agents are bots. So see, that's why you have a great chief AI officer, right? He coined that. We're going to put that on a shirt. So, but what is an agent? Think of it as these three components. The interface, what you see, looks like the regular Copilots, the buttons that live in chat, PowerPoint, Word, Excel. But the agent is trained or is on a particular set of applications or knowledge sources. Those knowledge sources could be a website. Those knowledge sources could be a set of documents, a set of folders. And now you're telling Copilot, instead of it being a blank slate where you have to always upload a document or upload something and say, this is the conversation that we're having, tell me about this document. Your agent is used to automate and execute certain business processes and working alongside you or working alongside your team, but you've told that agent that it has a specific purpose and it has guardrails and boundaries for the type of data it brings back to you. So it's almost a super powered assistant. Think of it as the regular Copilot is a brand new intern, shows up, what do you want me to do? But you have to explain it to me verbatim. Whereas we like to say that agents take on the persona of in-depth researchers, in-depth analysts, in-depth speech coaches. And we're going to show you some of the agents that Microsoft has pre-built for you to get started, but we think you're all here because you want to learn how to build your own agent. We're going to take you through that. So, Emmy, anything else you want to share about this before we go to the pre-built agents?
Yeah, let's go to the pre-built agents. Okay, so Microsoft has pre-built these agents for you, and it's not just these 5. There's actually more agents, and we keep adding them all of the time. So you're going to see more agents when you where to go to find these pre-built agents. But these are just some examples and to help get you started on what the power is that an agent can do. Like Yardina said, it's very specific, task-oriented. Writing coach is going to help you write better. The prompt coach, that is my favorite one. I have it pinned and I use it every single day. When I write a prompt, before I even run it in Copilot, I put it in prompt coach and I say, analyze this prompt for me and give me some suggestions. And Copilot makes my prompt better so that I get the response that I'm looking for the first time I enter it. And I don't have to keep going back and forth with Copilot, iterating on that prompt until I get the response that I want. That is one of the most powerful agents I think that we have. I love it. A couple of other pre-built agents that we have are the researcher agent and the analyst agent. These agents are more robust than a regular agent. These agents will do a deeper dive into the topic that you're asking it to do and actually create you a report. So whereas the other agents are going to give you responses back and answers to questions and things like that, these agents are actually going to write a report for you on the topic that you're looking for. They're very deeper analytical agents. Our word is hard to say. The thing to remember about these agents, though, is that they do have some limitations. So these agents, you're allowed 25 queries per month between the two of them. And a query means a report. So you get 25 reports per month combined. And the reason we limit this is because, again, it's doing such a deep analysis and there's so much compute power that's going on when it's doing that analysis that we have to limit them at this time. Maybe in the future, not so much, but for now, there. And we're actually going to give you a demonstration of both of these agents so you can see the power that they have. And they do take a while to run. So we've already run a couple of these agents ahead of time. We're going to show you that while the other demo is running. All right. Do we show this QR code or are we good?
I don't think so. But it can't hurt. Hopefully by now you know that we encourage you to opt in. If you don't have your M365 Copilot license, you can follow this QR code and it takes you to the site to opt in. It takes 48 hours for you to see this super powered Copilot and agent piece. Any questions before we continue?
Just out of curiosity, how many people have already opted in and have the M365 Copilot license? Okay, fantastic. So for those of you who haven't opted in yet, when you go to Copilot, you're not going to see these agents because you haven't opted in yet. So nudge.
Yeah, we have
in.
131 people on the bridge. Do people still call it that? They called it that when I graduated business school. Okay. And but hopefully all 31, we see some thumbs up. You scan that QR code and you're opting in. So in 48 hours, you can do some of the fun things that Amy and I are about to show. So we are going to end slideshow. We promised not too many slides for the end of the day. And hopefully you have some grace. Demoing live is always very fun. There's always things, but don't worry. Amy and I are pros and we're going to make it fun for you. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully the demo gods.
Don't people. These stones.
All right, we're gonna
Okay.
start here with chat.
So maybe just to anchor, what are we looking at? Remember I mentioned that there's 19 different applications where you get M365 Copilot. One of those we threw in a freebie, a brand new app, if you will, called Copilot Chat. So this lives, there's an app for this you can put on your phone. If you, on your computer, you see at the bottom of Amy's screen here, there's that Copilot icon, right? So you can have it as an actual app on your desktop. You can also go to the browser and do this online, right? So there's multiple different places where this Copilot interface exists. It's a new place where all of the superpowered things that come with your license live. Like at the bottom, you see there's a create button. There's a notebooks button. You have a digital notebook with Copilot. These are things that before you registered for the license, you did not have access to, that you have access to now. We're not going to get into that today, but I just want to make sure you know how to get to this space where we're working.
Okay, we're going to start with the prompt coach since I told you that is my favorite agent and I use it all the time. So I literally have it pinned at the top because I use it so much. And I have a demo prompt that we're gonna test out with this agent. So I'm gonna copy that. Okay, so so this is my prompt that I want Copilot to analyze for me. And so I'm actually gonna, at the bottom here, these are called suggested prompts. So you'll see these a lot within Copilot. And these are actually just prompts that have already been pre-written. And all you have to do is click the box and it automatically puts the prompt into the window for you. And I'm going to go down a line. I held my shift key and hit enter. That brings you down extra lines in the prompt box if you need to do that. Because if you hit enter, it's just going to run your prompt. So keep that in mind. So here is our prompt. I am a new user for M365 Copilot. I work as a faculty member of large university. Please create 2 to 3 page user guide with some tips and tricks, suggested use cases for M365 Copilot, and recommend some prompts that will help me on my journey. So I'm going to ask Copilot to analyze this prompt provide me some feedback. And so it's gonna take a couple seconds. It's pretty quick. Here's our original prompt. And there's Copilot telling me what's working well. So I've got a clear role and clear context. Some opportunities for improvement to clarify my goal. Maybe mention some sources of where I want Copilot to look for information. And so here you can see my new improved prompt is a little bit longer, so it's a little more detailed. To remember when you are using Copilot, your prompt is the most important part of using Copilot. The more specific and more detailed you are when you write your prompt, use natural language, full sentences, the better your response is going to be from Copilot. So we try to stay away from keywords like we used to use when we do a Google search and actually use natural language, full sentences. And so I could just take this prompt now and run this in Copilot. I could just copy this, go back to Copilot, chat, run that prompt. I'm actually going to switch over to the website. So that's another thing. You're going to, when you get your M365 Copilot license, you will see this toggle at the top, this work and website toggle. The work side is where where Erdina was showing you that picture with all of the different apps with you in the center. That's your work side. That is where Copilot has access to all of your files and your meetings and your chats and all of that stuff. The website only has access to information on the web. Keep that in mind when you get your license and you see that toggle. That's the difference between those two. And I am purposely running this prompt on the website so that I want Copilot to find the information from the web, not necessarily look at my personal files and things like that. So there we go. We've got a nice response back, some use cases, best practices and tips and stuff like that. So that is a pre-built coach. If in this sidebar, this Copilot sidebar here, under the bottom of these agents, you see a link that says all agents. That is where you go to find those pre-built. Here you can see these are all of the agents that I have access to. At the bottom here, these are all of the ones built by Microsoft. And you should have access to use any of these agents with your license.
And I like to say, if you're thinking about, if you had to explain to someone simply what is an agent, think, well, what is a problem that you're trying to solve, right? The problem of the prompt buddy or prompt coach that we're solving is that people struggle on how do I improve my prompts? And instead of always having to go in the regular Copilot and say, how do I improve this prompt? How do I improve this prompt? You can simply paste the prompt into prompt coach. And again, prompt coach has the persona of a prompt coach. It has certain guidelines of what it's intended to do. And so it automatically knows how to answer the question. So as we go through the different examples, you'll see different scenarios of problems that we're trying to solve and the way an agent is used to superpower them.
You want to start with the cane?
This one is a researcher.
You want to do this one first?
Yeah, let's do research. So on the thread of the pre-built prompt, so Amy mentioned you go to all agents and you're going to see about 6 or 7, right, of prompt coach and writing coach, idea coach. Those are ones that Microsoft built. We decided to take it one step further because we figured, okay, prompt coach and those, they're pretty basic, right? But we got a lot of questions of, listen, we power businesses all over the world and we need agents that run like business people. We need agents that run and help build reports, can do rich and deep analysis. And that we know that we could go here to chat, right? And upload a file and have a back and forth conversation of build this, do this, do this. But the problem that was presented of what if we need really robust information about a set of files and users don't have to keep going back and forth for that information. So the solution to build an agent that has the persona of a researcher that answers everything from the context and the structure of how a researcher on your team would build out that report.
And these two agents, the researcher agent and the analyst agents, are actually using a different large language model in the background than the other agents are. So this agent is built purposefully to be a more robust research-driven agent. And so here you can see my prompt that I wrote to Copilot. I'm a provost at a large university. We're planning to add a new degree path for AI and engineering. Can you please do a market analysis? So I'm asking for specifically for a market analysis to help us determine the feasibility of this degree. And it would be helpful, and if it would be helpful in bringing new students to our university. And what's going to happen is when you run that first prompt in the researcher or the analyst agent, it's going to come back and ask you some additional questions because it wants to make sure that it fully understands what you're trying to do. And so you can see there was a question here about the specific geographic regions or the universities I want to compare, any particular metrics or factors that I want to include, and then a time frame. And then it's going to say, if you would like to proceed, click go ahead or type go ahead, and I'll use my best judgment. So what I did was I told Copilot, we're located in the Southeast USA. Please focus on student interest and job demand. And so Copilot begins its analysis. And this is the analysis that it does. I'll at the bottom, let me scroll to the top here. You can see this is deep research. And it takes a long time. These are all of the things that it is doing in the background before it can even respond. So looking at investigating AI degree details, considering regional definitions, all of these things. I'm going to scroll down kind of quickly so we can get to the bottom.
When Amy says a long time in AI world, right? We're all used to everything coming in 1 second. Give it at least a solid 15, okay? Before you get, because again, your business analyst is doing things like creating these, right? These formats, right? Formatting the different, the risks, different key themes. And there's the ability to export, right? At the end, right? And so, and we say, now it's still the same concept of a conversation. If there's something that if you're unhappy with the results, tell Copilot, this isn't what I was looking for. And I wanted you to be more specific on these key elements. You could put that and continue the conversation and ask it to regenerate the report, deeper insights, or to just generate a specific part of the report. At Microsoft, we're using this a lot, even for performance reviews, right? We encourage our HR team on our annual performance review site has a place where we encourage managers, individual contributors of prompts to put in to summarize all the things you've been working on over the years. Cross-reference it with maybe the next level you want to be promoted to, right? And ask your assistant to now help you develop a business case for why you should be going to the next level, or just showcasing the impact, how that aligns to the strategic plan, how that aligns to the core things you're very passionate about, right? So there's business use cases, there's individual use cases, and I think there's just curiosity, sort of market research use cases of now you have a personal researcher who reports to you, named Copilot.
I just wanted to point out this number 2 section here actually pulls some information about other universities, which I asked it to do. So Mississippi State, University of Georgia, and it has, you notice at the end of these sentences, there are these little citation marks where I can hover over them, and it's actually giving me the source of where it found that information. So if I wanted to verify it or read more from whatever webpage it got that information for, I can do that. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom because this is rather long. And so when I say that it takes a long time, 15 to 20 minutes is typical. So what I'll do is run it and go grab some coffee and then come back, and usually it's done by then. But at the bottom, again, you can see those citations of where it found the information that it was looking for. That's the researcher one. Do you want to run another one? Do you want to try running one?
Yeah, we can try. Is it in here in this one?
Okay.
Yes, here. So we're going to run this, and let's see how long this takes. So Amy showcased an example of sort of let me see. Look back.
The last one.
The first one. All right. You see it, Microsoft. We're just like you. We're regular people. We have so many tabs open. We can't keep track. Okay. So should I? I'm going to start a new chat. So this is a pro tip. So remember, agents are our friends, and they work just like regular Copilot. The interface, we like to say Copilot is UI for AI. So what you're seeing here is just like the regular Copilots in Outlook, Word, or even the regular chat, right? We have this conversation area. We have our sources, because a core part of our philosophy is that you are the pilot. Copilot is just the Copilot. So it's up to you to make sure you reference your sources or give Copilot parameters of where you'd like it to source from. But because we recognize in working with any personal assistant, clear is kind. If you're going to start a new conversation, you wouldn't be speaking to a peer and just start talking about market research and then talk about Canvas agents or another technology. You take a pause. So here you're going to go up here and start a new chat. And so you'll see, because we're still hovered here in researcher, we're still within the researcher interface. There's a history here of prompts that we've run in the past and suggestions, right, of things that researcher can do with and for you. So what I'm going to put here is an example showcasing how, Amy was showcasing how an external sort of research topic, but what if you want researcher to highlight things of what you're working on within the university? And so, actually, do you have me? Yeah, you know what? And so actually, I realized something, that this would need to be able to research things that are within your purview. And so we just realized that this is not Amy's tool. This is a dummy environment, demo tenant. But what I want to highlight is the power of grounding here. So we could still show the example without running the full prompt. So remember, researcher works like any other Copilot experience, where you can ground on people, files, meetings, and emails. So if there was a particular meeting or topic that Amy missed and she wanted to know, tell me everything that's going on around this key project. And I want you to focus on these meetings, focus on these emails, and give me a 360 analysis of what's going on, risks and concerns, right? Copilot is able to ground, and researcher is able to pull up those key insights in order to help you in building your analysis of what you can identify with any key projects that you're working on. And so this is super important, really what makes the Copilot difference. It's great to just ask it general questions, but the idea that it's your superpowered assistant that is intelligent and has access to things that you've been privy to. So even if there's meetings that you didn't attend, but they were recorded and you were invited, right? You can just ask Copilot and researcher, tell me about this particular topic, everything that I should know. And maybe create an onboarding guide, create a list of FAQs for me in studying on this particular topic, or questions to bring to the next meeting. And researcher is able to bring you some deep analysis, which, as you see, business analysts are always very precise. It's going to come back with some questions for you on key things that you need, ways that it wants to make sure it clarifies the ask.
So it's asking me, I asked it to give me an update on Project Red Hawk, which is a project that I do in my demo tenant. Based on this meeting that Erdina referenced. And so I'm just going to tell Copilot to just go ahead and use its best judgment and find the information that I'm looking for. And so it's going to scour all of the files and meetings and team messages that I've been a part of that reference the Project Red Hawk or any material that's related to that. And it's going to pull that together in a report for me.
Really powerful when you think about strategic projects for your department, things that are cross-departmental projects, of just being able to have a place in a single pane where everything is pulled together to help you get some insights on where to move next and where things stand. So as Amy mentioned, it does take a little bit to run, but we showed you a preview of what the final results are. And we wanted to show you live of what it may look like when you run your first prompt, and don't get concerned, right? Again, if it takes a little bit, but all of those checks need to be checked off, and Copilot's going to keep you up to date, right, on what it's doing. So you can grab a coffee, take a step away. But remember, this is your superpowered business analyst that needs a bit of time to pull together a point of view and next steps. It's pinpointing key insights. Let's see. Back. I think we'll come back to this one. So while we're doing that, we wanted to show you the other out-of-the-box agent before we go and start building our own agent. So remember, we showed you go to all agents, and that's where you can find the pre-built ones. There's also another one called Analyst. It's here, Analyst. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Analyst, so here we have another file and another view. It's the same view that we had before, where Analyst is already, we clicked it in the find all agents, and then we added it here. If you want certain agents to stay at the top, remember Amy mentioned that you can pin it. You go right here and you click the pin. So Analyst is, I would say, the sister of Researcher, but takes on more of the approach, is really more designed for Excel files. So again, what problem are we trying to solve? In Excel, there is a Copilot button. You can ask it, create a pivot table. Tell me about sentiment in this Excel. What are formulas I should use? But it's a back and forth conversation versus here. And the thing is, when you're in Copilot in Excel, all of the data needs to be in one workbook. You can only sort of analyze one workbook at a time. With the analyst agent, the problem that we're solving is that we know that people want to analyze multiple workbooks at one time. And sometimes, again, I just need a report about the thing. I don't know what the report should say, but I need deep analysis over this Excel file. So what are we going to do? We're going to use our friend, the backslash. And what is this going to do? It's going to surface files that are in our OneDrive. Remember, Copilot surfaces things that are in your Microsoft universe. OneDrive is the storage platform for all things Microsoft. If your document is not within the OneDrive, you have a couple of options. You can copy and paste the file from whatever it is and drag it here, or you can press the plus, you can press add content, and then you can go here to the upload from this device button. And if you have the document saved in downloads, right, you could go here. We have some demo data, and we are going to ask analysts to, what are trends that they see within this particular Excel file? What are the variables, and can analysts visualize the correlations for us? Again, you can ask your analyst anything that you want, right? And so, but this is going to start to run a very similar experience and start to do that work for you.
You have to click. Question.
Yes, question.
Up the text, like you have a little S and the.
No, let's see. Copilot is pretty good at just powering through spelling errors and little text errors. That typically does not stop your analyst from working on your behalf.
Number two, is it forward slash or backslash?
You know, I'm
Forward slash.
forward slash. Thank you
Leans
for
forward,
catching
it's
that.
forward.
I always say back, but you're right. It is a forward slash. Let's go back to, this is where we were in researcher, correct?
Yes.
Let's go back to our researcher. And see, it already went away. So it's going to say last updated for today. Let's go back and let's see what it brought up, right? So this was the Red Hawk project, right? And you're right. I mean, it's still running. But it's tracking progress. And so we're getting there. So we'll let those two things run. And then we have about 20 minutes left. So we want to get into building an agent. So we are here still in the left-hand panel, and we're going to go here to create an agent. But Amy, did you first want to show the one that you already created?
Yeah, let's show that.
So we're going to start with two examples. So you can create an agent. Remember there was that slide where we said an agent is basically Copilot as the front, but the back is a set of knowledge sources. We're going to start off by showing what an agent looks like when the knowledge source is a website, and then we're going to show when the knowledge source is a set of files or a PDF.
So this one I built actually yesterday for another demo we did. We call this one the student advisor. And so we're asking it to be that front-facing advisor to students who have questions about, the simple questions about what are they supposed to do. And you can see at the bottom there, we have some suggested prompts that we pre-built for students as well. So like, what's the deadline to drop a class? These are simple questions that instead of bothering their professor or trying to find where it is on your website, they can just ask this agent and it will provide the answer for them very quickly. So let's go ahead and say, what is the deadline to drop a class? And so in the background, this agent, I grounded it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the term grounding, but it's basically giving it knowledge of where I wanted to find the information. And so I grounded this agent in 3 websites that are University of Miami specific. And so that's why it's able to find at the University of Miami, here's where to go. And you can see there's even a link there to some more resources on your website where it found the information. So let's look at the behind the scenes on this student advisor agent. So I'm going to click the 3-dot menu there and go into edit mode. When you build an agent, there's actually 2 ways to build the agent. The first way is this describe tab, which Ardina is going to talk a little bit more about later. But basically, you just talk to Copilot and give it the parameters that you want in natural language. The second way is this configure tab, which is if you're like me and you know what you want and you just want to plug it in, without having that conversation, here's where you go to do that. So we give the student, the name of the app is our agent is student advisor. Here's my description of what my agent is going to do. Again, this is student facing, so it's all related to helping students and support them. And I actually cheated a little bit and had Copilot write the description and the instructions for me. So that's a little pro tip. If you need some help writing your instructions or your description, you can ask Copilot to help you do that. And so here are my instructions, and the instructions are really the most important piece of your agent. You want to be very specific in telling Copilot what you want that agent to do. So specific task or doing specific work. This one is providing academic guidance. If I scroll down, some career support information in here, administrative assistance, personalized, tone is friendly. So that's another thing you want to tell your Copilot how you want it to respond. Friendly tone, creative tone, humor. You know, you can give it almost anything that you can think of. And then the second most important piece is your knowledge. So this is where you are grounding the agent in the data that you want it to use. So here I've used these three University of Miami websites that are public facing. So that's the other thing. If you're using any websites to ground your agent, they have to be public facing. Copilot doesn't have access to log in to the websites that you have access to. So
Do APIs on that, or is it just?
not through this agent. We do have another product called Copilot Studio that's a little more robust and can do things like that. And then down at the bottom is where I entered those suggested prompts, and these are just suggestions that are easier for you to just click the button and add the prompt. And you can do up to 6 of those. And then the pane on this side is where you can test your agent while you're building it. So you can want to make sure that you're asking it some prompts and that you're getting back the response that you expect from your agent. And then lastly, at the top here, this update button, when you first create a new agent, will actually say create. And so when you hit that button, it's going to create that agent for you. And then the last thing that you need to know about is sharing your agent. So if you build an agent that you find really, really helpful and you want to share it with your coworkers or students, you can click on the share button. What happens is it's going to create a link for you. And that link can work for either anyone in your organization, specific users in your organization, so you can actually specify people or groups, or you can keep it only to yourself and not allow anybody else to use your agent. When you select either of the other 2 options here and hit save, you have to send the people that you want to share this agent with the link. They don't automatically get access just because you've specified them. You have to share the link with them. They have to then click that link, and it's going to ask them, do you want to add this agent? And then they have to click yes to add the agent to their Copilot chat. When you share your agent with other people, they only have access to ask it questions, to prompt it. They do not have access to edit your agent in any way. Only you have access to do that. So when you share an agent, all you're doing is sharing the ability to access that agent.
We'll pause there. Any questions about agents? Yes.
So like this agent, right? I'm short-staffed. So like during the holiday break, I get a lot of questions for sorority recruitment. I work with fraternities and sororities. So if I created like a Greek advisor that could answer all those, could I put this like in my signature or like in an away message, and students could respond or somehow get that agent?
That's a great question. So first, yes, the link to the agent works almost like a document, right? Yes, you can put the link in your signature on a web, in an email, etc. Now, where does the agent, sometimes people, what will the student see? They will, or the person you're sending it to, they'll get a link and say, do you want to get to this agent? And then they'll get pinned here to in Copilot. Remember, these are Copilot agents, meaning that they have to go, remember I spent a bit of time talking at the beginning about the Copilot app. They have to get into this Copilot app either on the desktop or the browser to see it. Now, we started with this example because remember, what did Amy ground in? She grounded in web data that was public. And so this is the type of example of something that can be accessed by any student, faculty, graduate member at the university. Now, it's when you want to ground the data in, so let's say you had all the FAQ on a website that was public facing and only 2 layers deep, right? I know
Two
that
layers
that's,
deep.
so it can't be something that's like a super, super deep hyperlink. But if all the answers, guidelines, things, yes, that you wanted the sororities and fraternities to read, but you know that they won't. If it was on a website and then you linked it here, you could share it with them and the attorney would be able to easily access. It's when we get into sharing things that are in a document that it's the recipient also needs to have an M365 Copilot license. And right now it's only graduate students, faculty, and staff that will have access to the M365.
That's only true if we don't have message packs.
Yes, yes.
All right, so just as an update for everyone, we will be having message packs available. So we're going to figure out how to distribute those. But in the use case where students want to interact with these restricted license or with these restricted agents as they're describing them, they will be able to do it. It's just going to hit against some consumption that we have.
And the next demo that I'm going to show is actually a student sort of policy agent. So it's a great question. Any other questions around agents, where they live, how they work, anything online? The media team, I'm not sure. I don't think we can see the. No questions here. Anything else you wanted to say about this particular agent?
No, go ahead and.
Okay, so Amy showed us how we configure, right? So let's go back to the beginning. So I mentioned I'm a Herbert School of Business alum from 2017. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I pulled up one of my old documents from when I was the graduate student president for the business school? Because we have these policy documents that were very long. And lots of things that agents could have been very, very interesting and useful for in when our student advisors were onboarding us and when we were trying to guide students. So this is an example of how I'm going to use the Describe tab to build my own agent. So I'm going to come here. Again, we're in the Copilot chat app. I went here to create an agent, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, create an agent to help students, graduate students at the Herbert School of Business, University of Miami, navigate graduate policies, vendor relations, and starting a new student club. So this could be something that as an advisor, right, that I'm building and I want to share with students, or maybe as a student leader, right, that I'm creating. I think this could also be very interesting for student clubs as well to centralize and house. There's a lot of turnover, right, of all this insights that groups have, but that sometimes it's not housed in a central place and it's not easy for people to find and kind of create insights with new information. So look what Copilot is doing for me. Through the power of natural language, right, and having a conversation with Copilot, it took my prompt or my ask, and it's starting to describe the agent on my behalf. So look, it took my description and it created a summary. Remember, Amy was showing how there's an instructions and description pane when we go to configure. It started to fill some of those things out for me. It also started to fill out some of those bubbles that I like to call them. Is that a good word, Amy? Amy has lots of different terms. We're going to call these the Copilot bubbles, right? Sometimes people ask us, well, are these the only things that I can ask the agent? No, but what they're designed to do is help the user understand what the agent can do. And so based on my description, Copilot has already started to fill out some suggested bubbles or prompts that the users may find interesting for this agent. And so you see here on the left-hand side, we're still in the describe, right? And I could continue to say, yes, that sounds good, right? Because it's asking me, is this a good name for the agent? Okay, whatever. And it's going to continue to ask me questions about ways of and things of how it wants to change the name for the agent, different ways that we can customize the agent and ways to refine it, right? So I think this is a really fun way to get started if you're new to prompting. But what I like to do is I like to throw in some of the start the conversation here, but then you could still come over here to configure, right? And guess what? Everything that was just in describe is still in these itemized bubbles on the left-hand side, where we could go here, I think Amy's computer is a little slow. She's always giving me trouble about my computer. So I'm gonna come here and just change the thing. Yeah, I'm gonna say Harvard School of Business. Grad advisor agent, right? So, and there is a character limit, too many characters, right? But you can change the name. You can edit the description. Again, it's Copilot. You are the pilot at the center where you could come here and actually input the instructions. And so remember, you have the ability to upload files, URLs, sites, and even chats. If there's a particular, let's say you're in a Teams channel with a group of your department, or maybe you're collaborating with a particular, or a student group is collaborating, and they say, hey, we want to take all the chats and documents that we have in this space where we're collaborating, and that's the knowledge source for the agents. I mean, really powerful scenarios when you think of students studying, you studying for your next exam, or just collaboration on key projects. So these are all the things that you can link as the knowledge sources. Like I said, we have the GSA handbook, which I don't know if it's open in another. Yes, I don't know if we had it open in another. Thank you. This is what it looks like for proof of life, right? So I went here a little while ago. It feels like a long time ago now. So this is an overview, right? Hopefully not breaking any confidentiality things. It was the 2013, 2014 handbook of things that I needed to understand as graduate student. So we're going to go back to, thank you, Amy, here. And this is the knowledge source, right, that I'm choosing for my particular agent. And as Amy mentioned, I can come down here. I believe it's up to 10 knowledge sources that you can link here as what you want to ground your agent on, right? So some really interesting things. I met with some leaders who say, you know, I have to create a newsletter or a snippet for my team. And they're always asking me, well, where did you go? What did you do? And so the idea of what if I had a file with all of the notes of trips that I've taken, people that I met with, meetings of core things I want to be in the newsletter, and create an agent to ask it to summarize for me in 1 or 2 paragraphs, a snippet for the next newsletter, right? These are some of the superpowered ways that some of your leaders are already using agents, and hopefully you're getting inspired for your own use cases. And so down here is how we edit the bubbles, right? So if you don't like the titles or the suggestions of the bubbles here, you can edit them, you can move them and reorder them, and you can delete them and customize. And as Amy mentioned, this is auto saving. I think if you don't see the create button highlighted, that's because something is missing.
It's still saving.
It's still saving, but good for us. Guess what? We have one already created. So this is the similar agent that we created. Let's look under the hood. How do we do that? We click the agent, we go to the 3 dots. And the great thing about agents is that it used to take very sophisticated IT teams months to create something like this. Decision trees, scenario planning. What are all the things people are going to ask? If it gets an error and then it's just come up a bunch of X's and people will never use it again. Now you can test your own agents, you can build them, and you can quickly edit them, delete them if you don't need them anymore, and change them. You have the agility now as the user. So you see here, we named this Kane Grad School Buddy, similar instructions of what it's designed to do. But I told the agent each answer should provide a hypothetical scenario and application of the rule. I also wanted to always end responses with a fun fact about a alum or a reminder of how to be a good and responsible steward of AI. But similar knowledge source here. And this is what the agent looks like. So we're in the back end now. I think technically we'd have to do updates. I'm going to say, I think we asked the question before of tell me about the policies for creating a new student group. Let's see what comes back. There was, I think, probably over 30 pages of things around policy, vendor relations, etc. And so now this agent that I shared it with the end user is pinned to their side, and it's going to pull things. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's say, tell me. It's thinking about. I would say AI is so new. Look at that. Look at that. Remember, for a second, it said I couldn't do it. I always say give it the old Nintendo 64. Just hit it hard and try it again. Or sometimes a couple of things. Go back and edit into the 3 dots and make sure that that PDF or that knowledge source isn't listed as confidential, right? Sometimes if you're getting an error message, have the resiliency to go back and ask yourself, well, is the source that I'm using referenceable? So you see here, it's giving me steps on how to register a new student group, the steps by step. I could have said, give me the answer in a table. I could have said, give me the answer in a poem. I could have said, give me the answer in a letter. right? And so now with the power of generative AI and the power of my knowledge source, Copilot it's following my instructions. It's giving me a hypothetical example. It's giving me additional tips, and it's giving me a fun fact about a University of Miami alum. I will say Copilot really likes The Rock, but it does pull up other people, I promise. So as we only have a couple more minutes, I wanted to show one more thing of where agents can also live. So you build it here in where the Copilot app, the new superpowered app that we created for you as M365 Copilot users. But guess what? We also believe that agents shouldn't just live here, but should be collaborate. Your personal assistant should live with you in the other places where you work. Where else do you work? We think some of you work sometimes in Word. So here we are. So here's a Word document. A key thing anytime you're dealing with Copilot, period, in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, make sure that the document is saved to your OneDrive. Why? Because Copilot scans your Microsoft universe and works in the cloud. So the document can't be saved on your desktop. It needs to be saved in your OneDrive, as you see that we have here. So the great thing about an agent is that, remember, there's the standard Copilot experience when you're working in Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You click this button, or you'll see these fancy bubbles here, and you can just start to interact with the document or generate a new document. But the great thing is that your agent is extended into Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So if you go here to these three things, the hamburger menu, you will find the agents that you built or that were shared with you and that you clicked that link, right? And it saves. Or you could go here, right? Do we do add, Amy? Yes, and ask an agent, and we'll find our agent. So imagine this is an agent that I've built maybe to help graduate students navigate how to perform certain things within the Herbert School of Business. And now I'm a student saying, okay, I have this agent and I want to build a proposal for starting a new student club. So I'm going to say, create a plan to start guess what the club is going to be? Microsoft Club at the university, and outline the steps, outline the value and the steps you need to follow to remain in compliance. So this is the idea of, imagine this agent. Let's see. Let's get compliance. It's the end of the day. Let's see. Copilot does not judge if you're tired or if spelling is not your strength. It's going to do its best to analyze. So imagine if your agent was your leaders that have files and files and files, or the policies that you run as a department, and things where it's like, we need to create new documents, but it needs to ground on rules and guidance from things that we already have, right? And so you see here, Copilot's doing a couple of things. It's using generative AI to just answer the question, what's the value of a Microsoft Club at a university? I don't know, but here, it's going to do its best to generate. You're the pilot. It's just a Copilot helping you to get some initial ideas, but it's also pulling context from what we grounded the agent in and giving, remember, agents are a point of view, right? To be able to pull in and craft this document to our particular use case. So we are, oh, and look, and I told you it loves The Rock. But I have asked it. I have done demos where I got more specific on, I wanted to have a fun fact about this research group that focus on this particular research. So fine, so it can extend beyond The Rock. But we just have one more minute. We were going to stay in the room and online for any remaining questions, but I hope this was insightful for you. Remember that the same site where you registered for this course, there's going to be ongoing online sessions throughout the week and within the coming weeks on how to continue using Copilot in all of the different applications and agents. And hopefully you learned something to take back to your team that you could use agents on the work at the university. Anything else you'd like to share, David?
Oh, great job. Thank you. All right, yeah, so we have office hours. We have folks from Microsoft scattered around the room. So if you want to talk about anything, if you want hands-on help to build your own agents, we're here to help you. So feel free to stick around. Otherwise, hope you guys all have a good rest of your day and evening.
You guys finish leaving for the rest of the week?
I will be leaving tomorrow morning. Ardina actually.
I do.
I'll give you her address if you want.
Yes. I just do it in the lobby of my apartment. Trading. Office hours.
Okay, you guys are going to collaborate.
Yeah.
We've already started
I
talking
like
about
that idea. Well, let us know if you have any questions.